Please note that this content is for adults only. Viewer discretion advised. If you haven't yet, hit the subscribe, like, and share. Hello everyone and welcome back to another live stream with me, Gisela K. This is Grizzly True Crime, and today we're going to continue talking about a case that we last spoke about almost a year ago. And it's absolutely crazy. You thought the Romeoville one was crazy we've been discussing? This one is another one of those. Interrogation Files, welcome to you. Said, I hate it when YouTube is naughty. YouTube was being so naughty. So thank you for waiting for me. If you're here waiting for me live, I was about a minute late there. Welcome to all my moderators, patrons, members, subscribers, everyone in chat, and of course locals in chat as well. This case happened in Fairfax County, Virginia in February of 2023. So there are two previous episodes that we have done on this, but I'm going to give a full recap because it's crazy and we've learned more details along the way. So let's go over all of that. Sure. And we were wondering back then, the last time we spoke about this, what if this husband's going to be arrested? Well, that question was answered. He was just arrested September 16th. So not just in the last few weeks, he was arrested. So we're going to go over all of that now. And we're also going to watch a little bit of a press conference from 2 weeks ago. Okay. Yeah. So Swedish Mom says, I've never heard about this. So don't worry. If you have never heard about this case, it's okay. We're going to recap everything. If you have heard about it, we filled in some of the details that we didn't know back then. And I'm sure there's still a lot we're going to learn with the upcoming trials of two individuals known now as the husband and the au pair. Oh my word. Okay, so Fairfax County, Virginia. A beautiful family of three lived in a $1 million home in Hattontown, Fairfax County, Virginia. Christine Banfield, 37 years old. Her husband, Brendan Banfield, 38, and their 4-year-old daughter lived in the 13200 block of Stablebrook Way. I've seen there's a few people in chat, at least two, that actually live right there. I'm so sorry that this happened in your neighborhood. This must have been horrendous, right? Janet says, 2 years. Thank you for all you do. You are the best. Oh my goodness. Janet, thank you for being a member for 2 years. So, Brendan was an IRS, so an armed IRS criminal special agent. And Christine was a registered pediatric nurse. And her friends and family say she was so passionate about being a nurse, absolutely loved her job. It sounded like she really wanted to be a mom and was loving that life as well. And allegedly, her husband is a complete asshole. I don't know how else to say it. I'm just like, whoa, what this guy came up with, allegedly, based on what he's accused of, okay? So we're going to go over all of that. Now, Christine and Brendan decided to get a live-in au pair. Christine actually posted on Instagram saying, it's opening your home and your heart up to someone with big dreams of changing their life while in America, and in the process, they changed your life more than you could measure. She was so sweet. She was so excited to give this Juliana Peres Magalhaes, 22 years old, a chance to be like, okay, so you've come to America on this au pair exchange program. We'd love to have you. You can live in the home. They made her a separate little room. You know, it looked really nice as well. And obviously her job was to look after their 4-year-old, right? That's it. Not look after the husband. Look after the 4-year-old, all right. Nick said, in my cul-de-sac, so glad he's been arrested. Oh my word. So right there in your cul-de-sac. Wow. And was he just living there this whole time? Just like living his life, going to work, doing his thing, right? That's what I gather. Well, he's finally been arrested. Okay, so this is a picture of Christine, her husband, holding what looks like a very big cat. You said a cat. Okay, and then on the right-hand side is Juliana Peres Magalhaes. I hope I'm saying her surname okay. Now, on February 24th of 2023, the police got a call at 7:49 a.m. about a man that had been shot and a woman that had been stabbed inside this home. That's very early. That's the first thing I noticed is like, damn, this is It's like first thing in the morning, especially when we start hearing about the plot. I'm like, that's an interesting time for all of this, but okay, not impossible. So I made, as you know, many of us are visual learners. So in order to follow these stories like the Romeoville quadruple homicide, we just followed pictures help, right? So this is 38-year-old Brendan Banfield. And next to him, 37-year-old wife, Christine Banfield. The guy next to Christine, he's 39-year-old Joseph Ryan. A stranger who was just roped into this whole mess, and we're going to get to that. I feel so bad for his friends and family. Obviously for him, he's deceased. And then on the right-hand side is the au pair, 22-year-old Juliana Peres Magalhaes, right? Okay, so the victims, Christine Banfield, was stabbed multiple times. She was taken to the hospital and she died there. She succumbed to her injuries, right? And they say someone she knew, but that's yet to be, I can't say investigate. They're being investigated. It's yet to be exposed what the connection is with Joseph Ryan. And they'll tell us at the press conference as well from 2 weeks ago. They're not going to talk about that yet. It doesn't, to me, my gut tells me that Juliana knew Joseph Ryan somehow. But we'll see. So they say knew Joseph Ryan, and wow, he was shot and declared dead on the scene. So this is a very strange day, okay? So now, on February 24th, 2023, Brendan, Christine, Juliana, and a guy called Joseph Ryan were inside this beautiful home in the morning. The 4-year-old girl was in the basement of the home. And we're just it's like peeling an onion. We're going layer by layer. Okay, it's all going to make sense hopefully after this. So at 7:49 a.m., a cell phone 911 call is made. The caller hangs up. At 8:02 a.m., the cell phone calls 911 again. Both the husband and the au pair are on the phone. The au pair says that her friend has been hurt. The husband says he shot a man who stabbed his wife. At 8:03 a.m., the police are dispatched to the home. There are no signs of forced entry. The husband and the au pair were present and involved, is what they said at the first press conferences. The husband had a minor injury on his leg that was treated at the hospital. Other family members took the little girl in to take care of her as the investigation continued. At the press conference, oh my word, the questions are so soft we cannot hear them, so we're probably not even going to listen to all of those. I'm going to link the press conference. I have already linked the full press conference for you if you want to try to listen to those questions. Impossible to hear them, but from what I could gather, they were asking about the little girl. Is she okay now? And they said she's okay, she's with family, but they're not going to obviously talk about her. It's a shame, man. She would only be about 5 years old now. And apparently living with a grandparent, maybe even at the house. I don't know. All right, so yeah, Mooney says they had a presser. They had a presser. I missed it too. What were we busy with? We were probably investigating something else, right? What were we deep diving? Anyway, so okay, there's a picture of the house. Let's keep going now with this timeline of this day. So those are the basic bullet points and 3 911 calls. I mean, this IRS law enforcement special agent, shouldn't he know better than these 3 911 calls? That's really weird. Call, hang up. Call, hang up. Okay, call. Now we're on the phone together. Hi. Wow. Now, a month before the murders, Christine had sent her husband a photo of herself in a bikini. Now, from what I'm understanding and reading from all these different articles, because the law enforcement is keeping a lot obviously close to the vest, I have, of course, asked for all sorts of documents and body cam and anything we could possibly get our hands on, but no, we can't get any of that right now. So, from what I've read and heard, it was Juliana who sent herself that picture from Christine's laptop, as in sent it to herself. So that's already, if true, very shady. Now, within hours of Christine sending this bikini photo or swimsuit photo to her husband, that photo was uploaded to a dating site called FetLife, which is probably like fetish life, right? Where she, in apostrophes, if you're only listening, she connected with Joseph Ryan. So they're saying the au pair and the husband, they're out of the house. Christine's apparently connecting with this guy on FetLife and arranging to meet up with him. But the question is, of course, Janice says, The defense, of course, for Juliana and Brendan will be saying, well, Christine did meet up with him and she did make that account and she did do all of that. So that's going to be a tough one to prove. However, I think with Juliana sending herself the picture and the whole thing and how this whole plot unfolded, it's going to be interesting, very interesting trials indeed. So anyway, within hours, it was uploaded to the dating site called FetLife, where she connected with Joseph Ryan. That's the other guy, the stranger that was in the house and was also shot. Well, she was stabbed. He was also killed. The conversations continued on Telegram. So it went from FetLife to Telegram. I'm sure you've heard about Telegram if you've been around to study Madeline Soto's case and listening about Stephen Stearns and all of that, right? So the conversations continued on Telegram, I guess because it would be more private, it's encrypted and all of that, right? And so the conversations were about rough sex, BDSM, knife and blood play, and they agreed to then meet up on February 24th of 2023. Now, friends of Joseph Ryan said that they knew he was into that kind of thing, and that was his fetish. So he was really just meeting this lady, talking to her, on FetLife and then on Telegram, and then excited to go and meet up with her that day. But things turned out very different, and it was probably not even her. She probably had no knowledge of that. That must have been so scary to have this guy coming to the house, right? Who the heck are you? And the next minute, there's the husband and the au pair as well. We're going to get to that now. Sharon Dippity said, should have hired a grandma-type nanny. Thank you, Sharon Dippity. So, on that day, right? This is now again February 23rd of 2024. Oh, no. February 24th of 2023. Let's not get it wrong now. Let's not mess that up. So, Juliana was on her way to the National Zoo with the 4-year-old when she realized, oh my word, she'd forgotten their packed lunches. Christine apparently bought the zoo tickets. Now, what I find interesting is when I covered this case initially last year, the initial reports were that the au pair had said that her and the little girl and the husband had gone out, on an outing. So now, to me, it seemed like the story's changed a bit, but maybe it's just the media reporting. But they do say there's inconsistencies in her story and his story, so anyway, she was on her way early in the morning to the National Zoo with a little girl. She'd forgotten they forgot their packed lunches in the fridge, and so she turned around and went back to the house. When she got back to the house, she saw a car outside that she didn't recognize, and a man going inside with a bag. She then called Christine, who did not answer, and then she called Brendan. Now, here's what's odd. As if everything's not odd. Here's what's really odd. Brendan had to go to work, right? And he would start his shift at 7:30 in the morning. So he left around 7:10. But on that day, he decided to, on the way to work, pull into McDonald's for breakfast, apparently. I think by everything I'm reading, he had been sitting in the car. Okay, so he went for breakfast at McDonald's. Now, it's being reported that Juliana called him at 7:37. So that's 7 minutes beyond his work even started. So what the hell was he hanging around the McDonald's for? That makes him look super sus, does it not? Because he's just sitting there hanging around waiting for that call. Ooh, better go back to the house. And that's what he does. He then turns around and he goes back to the house. All right. So on the right-hand side, that's a picture of Christine Banfield, the wife of Brendan. On the bottom right-hand side, that is indeed a picture of Brendan with the au pair. They were very close. Oh my goodness. So this surfaced on Reddit, and I could not believe my eyes at first when I saw it, because we were kind of speculating, but we didn't know. But I'm like, oh my word, later this came out, right? He had taken her on trips to New York and all sorts of things. The affair was right under the wife's nose, which is just... It's so sad, because to me, Christine really sounds like someone who really wanted to be a wife and a mom, and they had this little girl, and then all of this, right? So, Brendan returned to the house, and then he and Juliana entered the home with the little girl together. The girl was then left in the basement, so, I wonder what they told her, you wait here. Or what? They left her in the basement while the two of them went upstairs. where their stories are, they went upstairs and they saw Joseph Ryan with a knife, like hunched over Christine. They said Christine was nude and that she had been stabbed. And they said in the throat. Okay. So as I said earlier, Christine later died at the hospital. Now, Juliana says that Brendan then shot Joseph Ryan. He told the 911 dispatcher that he shot Joseph Ryan after seeing him stab his wife. Authorities said that Brendan Banfield used his IRS service weapon to shoot Ryan, striking him near his right eyebrow. Okay, are we all following? He then instructed Juliana to go and get his Glock from a safe in the bathroom closet, and then then Joseph was shot again, which actually, from what I'm reading, he shot Joseph Ryan once, and then Juliana shot him the second time. So Juliana says that Joseph Ryan was on the ground when she shot him in the chest. That was the fatal shot, according to the medical examiner, and she says she shot him in self-defense, right? Okay, so let me just quickly say. Just quickly want to see if I'm missing something. Cat's Gallery said, I'm a grandma and I think I'm still attractive. Of course, right? So, I mean, with this au pair, 22 years old, starting a whole new life there. My goodness, clearly she fell in love with her husband in the house, eh? Okay, so Janet says, 'tis a tangled web we weave when we first practice to deceive. This story is so frustrating. It's just so horrible for the wife in the house. We're going to get there now. So, so Juliana's statement, okay, for her upcoming trial, it's going to start in November, apparently. She says, but she shot him in self-defense. Right, so let's keep going. All right. Prosecutors allege that Brendan and Juliana were having an affair for several months before the double homicide on February 24th of 2023, at least since August of 2022. So I don't know exactly when she started working there, but it doesn't sound like she was there for long before this affair started. Now, this Brendan allegedly promised her and other women, there's other women that have apparently come forward at some of these pretrial hearings or grand jury indictment, all these court things, right? Court events where they've come forward and said that he also cheated on his wife with them. And he also promised to leave his wife for them. And he said to one of them, apparently, it'll be so much better, if my wife wasn't around. So that's going to be interesting to hear from those witnesses. His trial is scheduled to start in February of 2025. Anyway, so they say he promised her and other women that he would leave his wife. 2 months before the murders, Juliana and Brendan had gone to a shooting range together. Brendan then returned to the gun range on January 28th of 2023, which is just a month before the murders took place, less than a month, and he bought a Glock. A receipt showed it was the same weapon that Juliana allegedly used to kill Ryan, Joseph Ryan. Now, days before the murders, Brendan and Juliana got rid of their phones and got new ones. So that's quite a red flag there. It's quite a couple of red flags we're spotting, hey. So they got rid of their phones, they got new ones. Both of them. But only the two of them. Christine didn't get a new phone. They did. Wow. Okay. They had even taken a trip to New York City together. When investigators returned to the home in October of 2023, they noticed that Juliana was now the apparent live-in lover or girlfriend with her framed picture in the master bedroom. Lingerie scattered around the bedroom is how prosecutors described it. And her clothing was in Christine's cupboard. She had literally, so I wonder what they did with Christine's clothing. It was like, chuck that out, move her in. I mean, the audacity. It's really bad. If Christine could be a fly on that wall and see that betrayal. The betrayal is, I think it hurts so much, in this case, like, wow, she wanted to give this au pair this new life and a beautiful room, and wow, her husband betrayed her so much, and so did the au pair, allegedly, right? So yeah, she packed all her clothes in Christine's cupboards, replaced the photo or had a new photo frame, put it right next to the bed, lingerie everywhere. They were living a great life together after these murders in that same house. Wow. Nick says, yes, so that would be Brendan, walked around the neighborhood with their husky and little girl all the time. Wow. Natalie said, so do we think Christine was already stabbed by one of them before they left the house, left it unlocked, and Joseph walked in and they ambushed him and set him up to take the fall? That is actually an interesting thought. I mean, it could be, right? Okay, now, on Friday, October 20th, after 7 months of investigation, 23-year-old Juliana Peres Magalhaes was arrested and charged with second-degree murder for the murder of Joseph Ryan. Through forensic evidence and multiple interviews, detectives determined that the au pair, 22, then 23-year-old Juliana Peres Magalhaes of Reston, shot Joseph Ryan. So that's the last update that we had discussed. And we'd seen those press conferences, and it was like, oh my goodness, so she was charged with shooting him. Now, Juliana has been charged with a second-degree murder and use of a firearm in the commission of a felony, and he's being held at the Adult Detention Center on no bond. She's originally from Brazil. Her mother's apparently also in the USA, and she cleans houses. And I remember reading her mother's statements in our last update saying that this was self-defense. Like, what are people saying? Why are people saying such horrible things about her daughter? She would never do something like this and all of that. Now, Juliana was very young, so one could look at that and just say, well, turn on him, spill the tea, make a plea or whatever. You know what I mean? I'm sure she could say a lot of things, because it seems to me like the main planner, the mastermind, is the husband, because he was also cheating on his wife with other women and telling these other women that don't worry, I'm going to leave my wife for you. So he was not a loving husband, allegedly, not faithful, apparently. So if I were her, spill it, tell them everything. Anyway, but so she's from Brazil, and all they still know so far is that Joseph was known to the victim, Christine Banfield. But I think that's what they mean that's what they were saying. They're talking kind of in code. The last time we saw some of those press conferences, I'm like, oh no. And you mean like from the apps, right? There's a connection there, but they still have to prove that it wasn't her that actually wrote all those messages and things. Now, her trial is set to start November 12th this year at the Fairfax Circuit Court in Virginia. So I don't know if there's delays sometimes in these cases. So let's see. I mean, if it's happening on November 12th, if they do stream it, maybe we want to watch it together. Now, after Juliana was arrested in April of 2024, during a pretrial hearing in Juliana's case, this guy, Brendan, the husband, was called to the stand, and he pleaded or played the fifth for every single question. Plead the fifth, I plead the fifth, every question. Wouldn't answer a single question. He doesn't have to. I know it's his right. There's going to be someone saying, he doesn't have to kiss her. I know. I'm just like, wow, he wouldn't answer anything. He doesn't want to incriminate himself. And he's got all that law enforcement experience as well. Now, in the 11 months between Juliana's arrest and the indictment of Brendan Banfield, authorities said that they monitored phone conversations at the Fairfax County Jail. Of course they did, And so in one call, Juliana said, and I wonder if that bothered the crap out of him, because he would know he's got some experience, right? But she said, I hope you are not just staying with me because you are afraid that I'm going to turn against you. Okay, that's pretty incriminating right there. Expert blood stain pattern and forensic analysis actually helped investigators pursue charges against Brendan, because I was wondering, well, how did they ever manage to now catch him? They've been investigating for ever since the crime happened. And I mean, it took quite a while to arrest her. The crime happened in February of 2023. She was arrested in October, pretrial hearing in April. And now only on September 16th did they arrest him. So that took quite some time. Of course it would. It's a huge investigation. So they said in one call, she says, I hope you're not just staying with me. So he's still contacting her, staying with her, and all of that. An expert bloodstain pattern and forensic analysis helped investigators pursue charges against him. Prosecutors alleged that Joseph, Ryan, and Christine Banfield's bodies were actually moved and repositioned after they were fatally wounded. Joseph Ryan's arms were apparently moved and smeared with Christine's blood. Brendan Banfield, 39, was arrested on September 16th of 2024. He's been charged with 4 counts of aggravated murder and use of a firearm in commission of a felony. He's being held at the Adult Detention Center also on no bond. And his trial is scheduled to start on February 3rd of 2025. We'll see if that happens or if there's delays as well. Now, what I want to show you quickly is his arrest video here. Oh, sorry. I was just restarting it. Okay, so Fairfax, Virginia, actually, Fairfax County, Virginia Police Department actually posted this. And they actually said at their press conference, you can go and look at our blog and our social media pages if you want to see the updates of this arrest and his arrest video. So yeah, they did post it on their Facebook. So here they said, update, husband charged in Reston double murder. Chief Kevin Davis and Commonwealth's attorney Steve Descano announced the arrest and indictment of Brendan Banfield, 39, of Reston in connection to last February's double murder near the Hattontown neighborhood. So yeah, there's his mugshot. Banfield is being charged with 4 counts of aggravated murder and use of a firearm in the commission of a felony. He's being held at the Adult Detention Center on no bond. We're asking anyone with information on this. The tip lines, I've got it in the description box as well. You can see it over here as well. I'll link this too, because if you saw anything, if you know anything, if you have ring cam, dash cam, any information, it could really help build their case against these two, right? Juliana and Brendan. So it's never too late to call in a tip if you do know something. So yes, those tip lines are still in the description box. Now this we'd gone over previously. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to play the press conference for us. I'll make sure it's boosted for us as well, and I will resize it. And this was from 2 weeks ago when they arrested Brendan Banfield. And this was like huge news in this case because we had all been wondering, is he ever going to get arrested? Apparently, yes. So yes, they've both been arrested now. And still, I think there's still so many questions, and I think the trial will answer a lot of those, right? Please like and share so others can also learn this information. And thank you so much all for being here. WGS Nanny says, why don't these people just divorce their spouse? I also want to know. But I wonder about the financial motive, if there was any, because sometimes they think, oh, life insurance and a new life. You know what I mean? As Mike from that chapter does his little life insurance dance. Does this have a life insurance element? I wonder. Or what? Because maybe they think, oh no, divorce is too expensive. Or maybe they think, well, then what if I don't get to see my kid? Like usually kids, like this is one daughter again. But it's so terrible that he would do this and raise this 4-year-old girl now with this new mommy, who's this very young au pair. And one day, what? He wants her to believe that like it's her mother's fault that this happened, or what? You know what I mean? It's so upsetting. Okay, so let's have a listen here.
Great. Thank you guys so much for coming out this afternoon. Today we'll be announcing the indictment and arrest of Brendan Banfield in our double murder in Reston. Today speaking, we have our Chief Kevin Davis, and we have Fairfax County Commonwealth's Attorney Steve Descano. Steve.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Early last year, the double homicide of Christine Banfield and Joseph Ryan shook our entire community. Today, I'm pleased to announce that due to the hard work of police and prosecutors, the Commonwealth's Attorney's Office has secured an indictment against Brendan Banfield for the murder of his wife Christine and the murder of Mr. Ryan. Fairfax County police officers took Brendan Banfield into custody, and he's been brought to the same adult detention center where Juliana Peres Magalhaes has been since last year when she was arrested for the murder.
So the two of them are in the same jail right now, obviously separated. I just mean they're in the same adult detention center. And yes, he's been charged with his wife's murder. That's huge.
Murder of Mr. Ryan. The great investigative work of the Fairfax County Police Department led us to new information, which was instrumental in securing today's indictment that charges Brendan Banfield with aggravated murder and the use of a firearm in the commission of a felony. I'm extremely grateful to FCPD for their continuing efforts in this case, as well as the efforts of Deputy Commonwealth's Attorneys Kelsey Gill and Eric Klingen, who've worked tirelessly with their counterparts in the Fairfax County Police Department. I know that you will have many questions, but I want to caution you that I can't speak much further on specifics, as it is a pending matter, and no one at this podium today wants to do anything that will risk prejudicing a future jury. But suffice to say, we're extremely pleased that we've been able to bring this indictment, as this case has weighed heavily not only on the minds of the chief and I, but on the minds of our community. I hope that the family, friends, and loved ones of Christine and Joseph can find some solace in the knowledge that we're pursuing justice for them. Chief Davis?
Thank you, Mr. Giscano, and good evening. On February 24th, 2023, I stood in the middle of a cul-de-sac street in Fairfax County and described the deaths of two persons inside of a residential home. Now, 570 days later, we know the deaths of Joseph Ryan and Christine Banfield are both, in fact, murders. As you are aware, we charged Juliana Magalhaes with the murder of Joseph Ryan on October 13th, 2023. She remains in custody and awaits an upcoming trial. As described by Mr. Giscano, we are today announcing aggravated murder charges against Brendan Banfield for the murder of his wife, Christine Banfield, and Joseph Ryan. To be clear, Brendan Banfield, then 38, and Christine Banfield, then 37, were married and living in a single-family home with their then 4-year-old daughter. Also living in the house was the family au pair, Juliana Magalhaes, then 22 years old. Joseph Ryan, then 39 years old, lived in Springfield, Virginia at the time of his murder inside the Banfield home. Fairfax County police officers responded to a 911 call from within the home on February 24th, 2023. In an upstairs bedroom, we found Joseph Ryan deceased as a result of gunshot wounds and found Christine Banfield suffering from stab wounds. Christine was transported to a local hospital and pronounced dead.
I'm just going to pause it there quickly. Do you guys remember initially it was also reported that Joseph Ryan was downstairs and Christine was upstairs, and that also didn't make sense and sounded like such a red flag. But now they've cleared that up, that Christine and Joseph Ryan were upstairs. But to think of this elaborate plot, allegedly is what they've exposed, right? This whole plot, this innocent stranger who's meeting up with someone because he connected with them on this FetLife app, and then these two people are murdered, and then the au pair moves into the master bedroom, and these two just carry on as if, wow, now we're together. I mean, I'm so glad they've both been arrested. My goodness, it's ridiculous.
We recovered 2 firearms and a knife. We know Brendan Banfield and Juliana Magalhaes, the family au pair, were involved in a romantic relationship at the time of the murders. I will not describe our victim Joseph Ryan's relationship with anyone involved in the case at the moment because this investigation continues. And like any criminal investigation, our probing of the facts does not end when an arrest is made. This much is clear. We have evidence to now allege that Christine Banfield's life was unlawfully taken and Joseph Ryan's life was unlawfully taken.
Stefan says, so Brandon is charged with Christine's murder and Juliana with Ryan's murder? So Brandon is charged with Christine's and Ryan's, and Juliana's charged with Ryan's, is from what I'm gathering.
We are very limited, as Mr. Giscano stated, in providing additional details to your many inevitable questions this evening. We will not try this case in a news conference, nor will we compromise the integrity of our ongoing probe and investigation. The detectives, prosecutors, and victim services specialists who still work tirelessly on this case know who they are. To the Benson and Ryan families, a special thank you for your patience and trust. And now we will do our best to take some of your questions. Yes, sir.
Chief, could you illuminate?
I boosted the sound. Let's try to listen to the questions because they are always important, but I was just like, oh man, we can hardly hear a thing. Okay. Also, some people ask, like, how would Joseph Ryan have gotten into the house? Well, if Brendan and Juliana had planned this whole thing and made that profile on this FetLife app and Telegram for Christine, it would be part of the FetLife fantasy to like enter the home, and they would have said, don't worry, we'll leave the back door unlocked. And I mean, they left. Juliana left and came back within about 10 minutes, you know. So she'd already called Brendan. He left at 7:10. She already called him at 7:37. And then they called 911 just before 8. As if everything just happened within, 15 minutes or so. 10 to 20 minutes. I mean, it's all very, they plan so much, but they also, it seems to me like messed up so much. Thank goodness. We love dumb criminals most of them are dumb.
At all, or to the Commonwealth State's Attorney on new information that you received?
We could probably, I'll give that to you.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
This is slide.
That's sliding off. I will be honest, I anticipated that question, and I wish I could give you that information. But I feel like that would compromise what we're trying to do here going forward. All I can tell you is that we did get new information due to the great work of the Fairfax County Police Department, and that information was very instrumental in getting today's indictment. But as to what that is, that'll come out in trial.
Two questions which either one of you feel free to answer. First one is just which district circuit court will the suspect be in? And then the second question is just working so closely on this case for the past 570 days, as you both said, what does it feel like to now have a second arrest and what you can now determine as two murders?
Maybe I'll take the second part. Mr. Descana can take the first. This isn't over. We're not spiking the football. We're not celebrating. We're still in the midst of this journey within our criminal justice system and the families that are involved. But certainly the progress of this case over 570 days has been a result of the relentless work of prosecutors and detectives and crime scene detectives and victim services specialists. And the families have been unbelievably helpful and patient and trustworthy of both of our offices and the people doing this hard work. So we're not done, and there's a lot of work to do. But the jurisdictional question?
Yeah, all this is going to happen in Fairfax County Court. We anticipate that Mr. Banfield will get arraigned later this week in Fairfax County General District Court, and his trial will be taking place in Fairfax County Circuit Court. And to reiterate what the chief said, we're not finished yet. We still know we have more work to do, but I can tell you that this case has been something that's been on my mind. I know it's been on the chief's mind, my prosecutor's minds, since the day it happened. We've had meetings, discussions every week, and it's probably a day hasn't gone by that I haven't thought about the victims in this case. And I'm just glad that we're able to get to the point where we are now, where we have these multiple indictments, but we know that there's work ahead.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you
Katie.
elaborate on what's happening at the home of the Banfield home as we speak? I know there's possibly a SWAT team, other police officers blocking off that area. Can you
Yeah.
elaborate what's going on there?
We are executing a search warrant at his home. I'm not sure if that is still ongoing. I know that happened some time within the last couple of hours. But as a matter of routine in investigations of this nature, it's not abnormal to conduct a follow-up search warrant for additional evidence, and that's why we're at the Banfield home right now, Katie.
So Taylor says, wait, so they set the guy up. He was on a fetish site and they used him to look like he broke in. They pretty much framed him for the murder of Christine. Allegedly. That's what it seemed like. This is what the state is alleging. Let me say it like that. The state is alleging that Brendan and Juliana would have set up a profile for Christine, pretending to be Christine, impersonating her, on this FetLife app. However, we don't yet know if she did set one up or not. But then the conversation went to Telegram, talking to this guy, agreeing to meet up. When the guy is at the house, suddenly Juliana and Brendan they come back to the house because Juliana's like, oh my word, I've seen a car I don't recognize and some guy with a bag. So Joseph Ryan goes in, and then Brendan and Juliana say that Joseph Ryan killed Christine, Brendan's wife. And so they shot him. Brendan shot him once, then he told Juliana, run, go and get another gun, which also doesn't make that much sense. And then she gets another gun, and then she shoots him, which is the fatal shot. So they're saying he killed Christine, and then we shot him in self-defense because it's like this intruder in the house. But everything is just too meticulous with the timeline. The time they left, the time they came back, the getting rid of the phones, the going to the shooting range, all the things, let alone the affair. And then once Christine had died, then Juliana moved all her stuff into the main bedroom, like clothing, picture in the frame, lingerie scattered everywhere, and she was just his new girlfriend. Like, oh my goodness.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned the Banfields had a then 4-year-old daughter. Could you describe kind of what the last couple of years have been like for her care and where she is now, if she's taken care of, she's okay?
Yeah, she's okay, but out of respect for the families, and she's still a little girl, we're not going to go into what life is like for her, because people who care about her are ensuring that she is taken care of. Certainly, it's probably not an easy thing for any family to go through, but the right people are involved to make sure that she's taken care of. Yes, sir.
Sir, given that, this has been a very puzzling double homicide for the public to ingest, and given that you say you can't shed any more light on it, is it safe to say that you totally understand now what transpired in the home that February day with this new information and with this indictment?
Well, I've been exposed to a lot of homicide investigations throughout my career. And I wish I weren't in a position to say that, but I have been. Certainly, and I think I shared this the day of the murder on February 24th, 2023. I suspected, I had a feeling that there was a lot more to what met the eye that morning. And certainly, it has taken a road 570 days later where we are finally in a position to announce that 2 persons are being charged and held responsible and introduced to our criminal justice system for these 2 murders. So I'm not going to characterize my opinions about the evidence other than to describe the evidence exists in abundance to give us probable cause to bring these charges forward. And it's digital evidence, it's physical evidence, it's forensics evidence, it's circumstantial evidence. The detectives, the prosecutors have worked meticulously to ensure that every T is crossed and every I is dotted, but the work still goes on.
Sir, just a follow-up question on Key's point. I apologize if I missed this, but can you confirm if Mr. Banfield has been living in the home this whole time?
I believe he has. Olivia.
I know there were 4, if I'm correct, aggravated murder charges. Can you just explain the nuance there and whether there's 2 people?
So they're asking about why is there 4 aggravated murder charges. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and ask them. Like Vicky was asking, why are they each charged with Joseph Ryan's murder? He was shot with 2 different guns. Brendan shot him once, allegedly, and Juliana shot him once with a different gun. The one that Juliana shot him with is the Glock, and they have a receipt for that Glock from when Brendan bought that Glock on January 28th of 2023, which was just a month before this all happened as well. So there's a lot of dots that they've not connected, a lot of evidence that they've been obviously putting together to be able to charge him. Let's hear what the answer is here.
Yeah, absolutely. So we did charge 4 different aggravated murder charges, even though we're only talking about 2 victims. The reason we did that, it's very lawyerly and technical, but essentially it boils down to, in the aggravated murder statute, there are a number of different options to prove that. And when we took a look at what we intend to present at trial, we believe that our presentation of evidence can possibly hit both of those different subsections elements. So what we decided to do is we wanted to put all of them in there to give the jury the full picture of what they can choose from. But we anticipate that, of course, we have. The reason that we did that, quite frankly, is we wanted to cover all our bases, make sure that the jury had every option that they could possibly want when taking a look at the evidence. So I know that it's a little unusual, but the aggravated murder statute, the way it's written in Virginia, is a quite unusual statute. We wanted to just cover our bases. Please.
At what point did Brendan become a suspect in this case? I know initially the narrative was that Joseph stabbed Christine. At what point did you stop believing that and begin to look at Brendan?
So that kind of gets back to our efforts to kind of describe gently that we can't go into certain aspects of the case, and that's one of them. So again, there's a jury that will assemble, and they're going to hear these facts in much greater detail than you're hearing them today.
So now they're saying that Joseph maybe stalked Christine, but they can't go into that. You know, they're looking into things. It could just be that the two that have been charged were running those accounts and saying things to lead him on, right? Also, Natalie had a very interesting theory in that what if Brendan had given his wife some sort of sleeping pill or something and she was like completely knocked out that morning? That would be interesting, right? Because then, and think of the timing as well, for Brendan to leave the house and go sit at McDonald's and have breakfast, which he, it sounds like, doesn't usually do because he's normally at work at 7:30. So there he's sitting, waiting for Juliana to call. And I mean, for her to leave with the 4-year-old saying, okay, we're going to the zoo, and then turn around, and whoops, we forgot our lunches. And then they turn back around. And right then, the perfect timing to see the guy walking into the house. I mean, that timing, wow. And then suddenly she calls Brendan like, okay, probably he's into the house. And let's say if Joseph Ryan, because he did then, obviously, he walked into the house. If he then, based on what they're telling him on the app, I'm speculating, okay, went upstairs, if Christine was knocked out, toxicology will be interesting, well, he would be hunched over her. Maybe he's trying to wake her or give her a fright or whatever it is that they had said on the app. So then maybe that's how Brendan and Juliana thought their story would make sense. Like, we walked in and he was hunched over her and he had stabbed her. Like, oh, my goodness. But now they say they've charged Brendan with his wife's murder. So that's hectic.
Yes, sir.
Again, knowing what you can and can't say, have you been in contact with Brendan over the last 570 days? If so, how many times approximately did you?
Yeah, I understand and applaud your journalism interest in writing a more complete story, and I'll just ask for your patience, but that's not something we're going to be going into at this news conference. Olivia.
Is Juliana's trial still scheduled for November in light of this?
Juliana's trial is still scheduled for November. That trial date is, from our perspective, we still anticipate going forward on that date. But of course, there could be motions or other things. But to get to, I think, to probably what the nub of your question is, the fact that we've indicted Brendan today and made that arrest does not mean that her case is being thrown out. We intend to go forward with that case as scheduled.
So that means they're going to have separate trials, right? Because I was wondering, well, are they going to be on trial together? Nope, separate trials. She's going to be on trial in November and him in February of 2025. Natalie says that was Stefan that thought of the sleeping pills. Can't take credit for that. Oh my word, Stefan. That was such a good thought. That makes sense, actually. Otherwise, there'd be probably a lot of screaming. The neighbors may have heard things. It's very plausible that, right, okay, so we're almost done here.
Was she involved in the process of leading to this arrest? Can we talk about that again?
Yeah, I'll do it for the chief so he doesn't have to do it every time. But again, I do appreciate that question, but that's something that we shouldn't talk about. We have, as prosecutors, we have ethical obligations about what we can and can't talk about. Trying to prejudice the jury would be something that could put the entire case at risk, and we don't want to do it. And I think that line of questioning would very quickly lead us down that path. So I apologize, but I'm not going to be able to answer that in the moment.
Yes, sir.
May I ask, I think I heard you say there were 2 firearms recovered from the scene and a knife. Is that new information? Can you say that both the guns were discharged?
I don't think that's new information, and both the guns were discharged.
Is there any reason why Mr. Banfield is being held at the same adult detention center as Juliana?
Yeah, that's where he's being held. That's where, if we had any reason to seek to hold him elsewhere, legitimate reason, we certainly would, but none of that exists at the moment.
Right, and to be clear, there is the one county detention, adult detention facility in Fairfax County. So there was not necessarily a conscious choice. That is just typical protocol.
Okay, I've never had to call on Jackie Benson or Sierra Fox. Anything else?
I mean, I want to ask the relationship between Banfield and Ryan, but
Yeah.
I can't touch on that. I
Yes,
have
ma'am.
your answer.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your patience. But a lot of work has gone into this case by people in this room and elsewhere, and it's certainly a moment to pause and reflect on the great work. Yes, sir.
Forgive me if this is an old question or something that's already been asked, but did either of those weapons belong to Banfield?
So we'll apply the same answer to that question as well.
Were they discharged by 2 different people?
Same answer. No. Same response to the question. Trying to trip me up. No, we can't go into that level of detail. Olivia.
You might not be able to answer, but can you speak to where he was arrested today or
He was arrested in Fairfax County. He was in a motor vehicle, and our fugitive team apprehended him without incident.
Mr. Toscano, what is his next court date?
I anticipate that he'll probably be arraigned tomorrow, and if not arraigned tomorrow, then it will be Wednesday. And then I would anticipate that we will have some sort of court date or trial date, I apologize, set rather quickly. Again, that's just typical procedure, but since he is in custody, I would look for an arraignment within the next 24 to 48 hours.
Thank you all for covering this story. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody.
I like this team. They're very professional, right? So let me quickly see here. Cara said, we're still not learning anything new. Damn, I felt like we learned a lot new. Number 1, the husband was arrested. 4, the murder of his wife. The bodies were repositioned. Joseph Ryan's arm was moved and Christine's blood was smeared on him, is how the state is wording that. Also, the affair, when it started, roughly, has been revealed. This FetLife app and then the Telegram app, that's new, to me at least. Since we last covered it, this is all new. I'm just like, whoa, there's a lot, and I'm sure there's still going to be a lot. And then the fact that the au pair and the husband got rid of their cell phones just days before the murders. Brand new cell phones. I wonder if they ever found those cell phones or any data from, any digital data or things like that. That would be interesting as well. But I think we learned a lot new, and I think it's incredible that after this over a year-long investigation, a year and a half, the husband was arrested. We always wondered, right? Would he be? And I think also hearing about the jail calls and what she had said to him, that's a big red flag. Hearing that he went to McDonald's and was hanging out there that day. Another one. So many. Oh my goodness. So I will keep you posted on this case. Hopefully next time sooner. Like on the day when we could see. Oh my goodness. Thank you to everyone who's been emailing this. I've really been meaning to get to this. We've just been so busy with other things that finally today, because Sarah Boone's trial was delayed, we could get to it. Sarah Boone's trial is now set to start on October 14th of 2024 because the judge decided it would be better because Hurricane Milton is on its way to Florida. I hope that you guys are all safe. I hope that you'll be okay. And so jury selection for her will start October 14th. The trial is set to last for about 3 weeks. All right, and jury selection for about 2 to 3 days. So we'll be following that from whenever it starts, which should be next week. In the meantime, we've got lots to catch up on. Like this, I'm so glad we could finally get to this. So thank you so much. Yeah. Stefan said Christine's blood must have put on Ryan's hands after they shot him, so their story made more sense, right? And that's what it seems like they're implying. There's a lot that you can read about what the state is saying, but they're definitely keeping a lot close to the vest, and I understand that. Now, before I go, I just quickly want to check one more thing here. Okay? Go and check out the previous episodes as well, because it might also just help. We went through things a little bit slower with the presentation and things like that, even though more things were added. So her trial is set to start November 12th, 2024. And his trial is set to start on February 3rd of 2025. So we'll keep an eye on that. Both of them are being held on no bond. And obviously now they can't talk to each other in jail. Well, she's in jail. He was talking to her on the phone. No more of that. Apparently the little girl is okay, I think with grandparents. So I hope that she's okay. Oh my goodness, she's only 5 years old. Wow. So thank you so much everyone for being here with me to follow this update. As I say, I'll keep you posted. Thank you mods, and see you all very soon. Stay safe.